On News Hour tonight, nationwide labor strike in effect with partial compliance. Fire raises apartment building in Zaria. Jungle justice victim speaks out. On the foreign scene, Mali troops take over Kidal from Tuareg rebels. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start with a nationwide strike action by the organized labor, which has disrupted life for residents of Kano who are appealing to the union to rethink the move considering Nigeria's current living condition crisis. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin has a situation report from Kano.
Another strike action has grounded Kano. One of the biggest commercial hubs in Nigeria is unusually quiet. Schools have been shut down, financial institutions remain closed, and civil servants have down tools in compliance with a nationwide strike by the organized labor. The situation is likely to complicate the living condition crisis for residents as everyday economic activities slow down. I came to the bank early this morning with the intention to rectify the problem that I earlier had. The account officer told me to come as early as possible, and when I came, I realized that the bank is closed. They told me that there is ongoing strike. It's actually frustrating. Students from different parts of Kano State came out as early as 6 a.m. for their classes, only to realize there will be no academic activities due to the strike action. For Abdullah Ahmad, a JSS3 student, the industrial action will negatively affect his academic pursuit. I'm now in JSS3 and we are about to start our examination. We are now in week 10. Very soon we will start our examination and I will go to SS1. But this industrial action will definitely affect my chances. I am appealing to the government to see a reason to call off this strike so that we can be able to go back to school. For most residents in Kano, the development is counterproductive to the well-being of the people who just want to go about their usual business without disruption. For me, I'm operating a POS and I came here to get some cash so that I can go back and start giving people, because even before I left my shop this morning, there were a lot of people waiting for me to come and give them money. So I told them to exercise patience, let me go to the bank and get money. And when I arrived, the bank is closed. There is no way I can get money. The recent nationwide industrial action was triggered by the face-off between the organized labor and Imo State government, which led to the brutal attack on the national president of the Labour Congress, Joy Ajaero. The momentum may also relate to ongoing negotiations with the federal government over welfare of Nigerian workers since the removal of fuel subsidy in May this year. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And in Katsina, residents have expressed dissatisfaction with the ongoing industrial action by members of the organized labor as they highlight the impact of the strike on the lives of average households. A cross-section of residents who spoke to Trust TV News said there is a need to solve all issues with government without subjecting Nigerians to extreme hardship. Abdullahi Ahmed has more.
Though the strike has recorded almost 90% compliance with almost all public institutions closed, some residents are groaning over what they described as avoidable strike by labor unions. They said the reasons advanced by NLC, TUC in embarking on the current strike is not enough to drag Nigerian people into another harsh economic predicament, believing that there are other issues more important than the ones the unions advanced. They cite as examples the persistent devaluation of the naira, soaring prices of essential commodities as issues more important than what the unions presented as reasons for embarking into the strike.
I am not in support of what NLC and TUC are doing this time around, because what police or anybody doing to this NLC leader is something personal. So if NLC leader see or realize that they do wrong to him, so he has a right to go to court to seek for his own right.
Yeah, we are working today because we have received the letter in this morning, and we are expected to have a State Executive Council meeting, NLC State Executive Council meeting. So we are waiting for their resolution also as a state-owned tertiary institutions.
We want a situation whereby the two parties will come on a round table and have a discussion whereby all the grievances that have arise will be resolved amicably.
On the other side of the coin, the leadership of the organized labor in Katsina mentioned the inability of the government to settle workers, the agreed palliatives to civil servants, and the brutalization of the NLC president in Imo State as some of the reasons for the strike. Both the NLC and TUC in Katsina appreciate the support of the workers for staying at home, a situation that led to the success of the strike in the state.
As a Nigerian, number one Nigerian worker, if such brutalization can happen to him, that is to show that nobody is scared.
Government of democracy is supposed to respect the civil service, the labor unions, as well as other civil organizations, but not to, on any way or anyhow, to threat any labor leader or any person in Nigeria.
Most of the public places visited in Katsina remain under lock and key, with only few essential workers offering skeletal services. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Well, there was total compliance with the organized labor strike in Plateau State as government institutions and private establishments like banks remain shut down throughout Tuesday in Jos, the state capital. The strike has paralyzed activities as labor unions enforce the compliance throughout Plateau State. Here's Ado Musa with the rest of the story.
The recent strike action is an escalation from the fallout between Labour and the Imo State government, which led to the brutalization of the NLC president, Joy Ajero. Federal and state secretariats in Jos appear deserted, while activities in banks, courts, schools and other institutions have also been shut down. Some workers who arrived for work at the Joseph Gomok Secretariat were left stranded as the gate of the secretariat was locked down.
The only reason I'm telling you is because of the handling of our leader. Whatever they want to say, they should go ahead and say their own. We are defending our leader. Once these things have happened to the leader, you are not safe. But are you not aware that they beat even the journalists? They destroyed their cameras. So what are we saying? If the leader is not safe, you are not even safe as journalists. You are not safe as masses of this country. These are the only institutions that is protecting the masses in this country. Yeah. It's the labor. We've lost out in the religious leaders are supposed to defend. We've lost out even the traditional leaders that are supposed to call these people to order. The only body that is standing firm to checkmate the excesses of this government is Labour.
The chairman also explains why they went ahead to embark on the strike, despite court order restraining their action.
The court that you are always just perpetrating injustice, you can never take it against the government, take it against the Labour and the masses. Since they said they don't want to respect, you are breeding violence. Let's continue that way. Now with the court, the last time when they brought the about, we said no, we are not respecting the court order. And practically they said because they reversed it and because of other circumstances, it has been overshadowed by other circumstances. And they withdrew it. It was illegal. They went and bought this on Saturday in somebody's house. And you want us to respect it. We are the same indigents of this country. If the court is just for the government, let's continue that way. But what I'm telling you, they are breeding a lot of anarchy in this country.
Some of the residents expressed divergent views on the strike action.
Because as it is right now, people are suffering. People don't even know where the next meal is coming from. A lot of people have parked their cars because they cannot afford to buy fuel. Yes, the national president was brutalized. I think it is the responsibility of the police to investigate this matter, and if it is true, to now prosecute the officers involved.
If they are going on strike just because he was assaulted, just for that reason alone, in my opinion, it's not 100% justified, because there are other people too, there are other citizens like you and I that have been assaulted in various forms and have nobody to stand up for us. So if it's just for that reason alone, I am not 100% in support.
Although business activities were largely unaffected by the strike, Parents and students were left dissatisfied by the shutdown of school as they call for a resolution of the issues. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Well, more on the strike as members of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria on Tuesday, in compliance with the organized labor strike action, blocked the entrance into the National Assembly. Both the main gate and the annex gate into the National Assembly were locked by officials of the union, making it difficult for workers who came to work to access the complex. However, lawmakers and management staff were forced to use the gate leading to the presidential villa to access the National Assembly complex. Elsewhere, businesses were partially affected by the ongoing nationwide strike action as financial institutions rendered skeletal services, with state government workers defying labor directives and showing up for work on Tuesday. Meanwhile, a cross-section of residents who spoke to newsmen lamented the worsening economic situation in the country, which they say would be complicated by the current strike action.
Before, unlike yesterday, at least, we thank God about our business. But today, there is strike, everything just do. Even all these bike man, they are all complaining that there is no market today. So it really affects us much and much.
I can tell you, it doesn't have any effects. It doesn't have any positive impacts, except, I don't know, maybe other states, but here in Oyo State, it doesn't have any effect.
Well, the situation is worrisome in town. Everything is scarce. Even money is scarce. You don't see anything. You see people begging around, even supposedly well-to-do people begging around, people parking their cars because they can't afford fuel.
Due to what has happened before, from the past experience, some have come with the failures, with what they promise to do. We need to reason with this present government and look at what they said they want to do during campaign. Let's watch and see it.
And now, Imo State, which has become the epicenter of the current labor battles in Nigeria, as developments in the state trigger the nationwide strike action by the organized labor after the attack of the NLC president, Joe Ajaero. The state, which has been embroiled in a strike action for over a week, has also witnessed total compliance with the ongoing industrial action. Trust TV's Ajibade Praise has more.
Upon our visit to the Federal Secretariat, we discovered that there is high level of compliance to the order of the NLC strike. Most of the offices within these premises are under lock and key, such as this one. The rest of Nigeria is catching up with Imo State, which has become the antagonist in the battle with the labor movement. The event of November 4th have snowballed into a national dilemma. All activities within the Secretariat have been grounded. No workers in the offices, as many of them abandoned their duties in obedience to the nationwide strike ordered by the national leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress. Some of them who spoke to Trust TV News condemned the act of the Imo State government. They vowed to continue with the strike as directed by the leadership of the NLC.
We are planning the strike according to NLC because we see reason with them. What is happening in South Africa, we are not happy about it. We are observing it because we don't have choice not to observe it because the leadership have said the strike is, and as a member, we ought to do that. Like if you see, everywhere is dry.
The strike is not affecting the government offices alone. Private business owners are also feeling the heat as low patronage stare them in the face. Government schools are also not left out. The schools are locked and the students remain at home. Persons who had things to do at the Secretariat all turned back home disappointed. No one was there to give them attention.
Because as you can see, people who want to do something with the offices, but now it's locked, so nobody can enter the offices. I just pray that one of these days the government will look into our issues and resolve it for us.
To me, it's supposed to have commenced before now. And on the side of dealing with the national policy, Mr. Ajero, it is really condemnable.
The governor, in a forum where he interacted with the Elders Council, insisted he will not bow to the pressure of the NLC.
That is not acceptable. And government will not be cowed by any of that. I will not submit to that. I can never let you there. And when we met at our level, we have been doing alternatives with political money.
As the battle between the Labour and Imo State government continues, the social-economic situation in the state remains bleak. The activities of the NLC has continued to bite hard in the state. Most residents are calling on the federal government as well as the state government to look into the matter with a view to provide lasting solution. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Many thanks to Ajibade Praise there. Now, away from the nationwide strike, a fire incident on Tuesday destroyed parts of the popular Hamzent building on Park Road, Sabongari in Zaria of Kaduna State. Hamzent building sits at the commercial nerve center of Sabongari in Zaria. Though the cause of the fire outbreak has not yet been established, but an eyewitness attributed the cause to electric surge in one of the apartment buildings. The National Fire Service that is located just a few meters away from the scene did not reach out, or rather did not respond to the incident. Trust TV gathered there are almost 20 apartments in the building occupied by different tenants who are mostly businessmen and civil servants. In a similar vein, Borno State has dealt with major fire incidents in recent times, and the Borno State Fire Service is now drawing public attention to safety measures to avert the destruction of properties. The Borno State Fire Service gave the advice in connection with the fire incident that razed down a section of Maiduguri's Gamboru market, where shops and food commodities were destroyed. The director of Borno State Fire Service, Umaru Adamu, says the fire service has recorded 114 emergency calls so far.
This mosquito coil, some people they are using it in this time. This mosquito coil, they don't know how to handle it inside the room. Instead of them to put this plantain, this big plantain, and put it in top of before you go and sleep inside the house. Some they don't care. They are leaving the mosquito coil in a bad way.
And residents of Zaka town in Safana local government area of Katsina State are mourning the killing of 2 security personnel guarding the town. The slain operatives include a mobile police officer and a member of the Katsina State Community Security Watch Corps, who is a resident of Zaka town. Abdullahi Yamadi has an update on the reactions from members of the community.
A few days after the alleged killing of one Hamza Zaka, suspected accomplice to bandits, terrorists continue to launch attacks in and around the area bedeviled by insecurity, Zaka town to be precise. This is evident because even last Saturday, the residents of Zaka say the bandits killed one police officer and a member of Katsina State Security Watch Corps, providing security to the town. The Security Watch Corps and police operatives guarding Zaka town noticed some strange movement of the suspected bandits at a nearby rock, just very close to the town, and decided to take the fight to them at their hideouts. But unfortunately, the bandits ambushed the police officer and killed him in the process. And also during the process, an officer of the newly commissioned Community Security Watch Co, identified as Mujitafa Najume, alias Ambaba, was also killed during a gun duel with the terrorists. So residents spoke to Trust TV News on phone, and they said the bandits are planning a reprisal attack on the town because they are angry with the residents over the killing of Hansa Zaka. According to residents, they have now resorted to seeking divine intervention as insecurity persists across the area, calling on all and sundry to pray for the peace of the area, and not only Zaka town, but the entire north. They are also calling on security operatives to intensify efforts as bandits are regrouping to launch attacks in some communities around Zaka, saying the bandits are angry with the activities of members of Community Security Watch Co, who are making concerted efforts to end banditry and those collaborating with them. They are also appealing to government not to rest on its oars in fighting banditry, believing that if the current effort is sustained, the bandits and all other elements will have no hiding place everywhere in Katsina State. And of course, stressing the need for other states like Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Niger to adopt similar strategy to dwarf the monster. The residents are also commending Governor Diko Rada for choosing not to dialogue or negotiate with the terrorists, and of course calling on Katsina citizens to continue to support the government until the bandits are defeated. The situation in almost all the insecurity frontline local government areas in Katsina State is at least getting worse because of the incessant attacks. Even as this newly commissioned Community Security Watch Co are doing their best in tackling the problem of insecurity.
Trust TV's Abdullah Himadi there with an update on the recent attack in Zaka town of Safana local government area in Katsina State. Now, in continuation of the sustained operation against terrorists, bandits and other criminal elements in the northwestern part of Nigeria, troops of the 1st Division Nigerian Army and Operation Wall Punch have again killed 2 bandits in a clearance operation in the general area of Juji and Telele Kaso in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State on Monday. A statement by the Acting Deputy Director, Army Public Relations, 1st Division of the Nigerian Army, Lieutenant Colonel Musa Yaya. The troops also recovered 1 AK-47 rifle, 3 AK-47 rifle magazines, quantity 5 of 7.62mm special ammunition, 2 locally made hand grenades, among other items. The General Officer commanding the 1st Division of the Nigerian Army and Force Commander Operation Wall Punch, Major General Valentine Okoro, has implored members of the public to continue to support the Nigerian Army alongside other security agencies with credible information to enhance the fight against terrorism, banditry, and other criminal activities in the division's area of responsibility. Now, the House of Representatives has mandated its committees on Foreign Affairs, Interior, Pilgrims Affairs to investigate the immediate and remote circumstances in the cancellation of visas for 264 Nigerians on arrival at Jeddah Airport in Saudi Arabia. The directive followed a resolution on a motion on matters of public importance jointly moved by Kama Ikemkama, Olumide Oshoba, Abubakar Maki and Tolulope Akonde at the plenary on Tuesday. Presenting the motion, the lawmakers informed the House that Saudi Arabian authorities cancelled the visa of all the 264 passengers airlifted by one of Nigeria's major carriers, Air Peace, on arrival at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia from the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport on Monday. The lawmakers quoted sources at the Nigerian embassy in Saudi Arabia that the Saudi immigration personnel could not locate who authorized the cancellation of the visas of Nigerian passengers when the APPS, which was live between both Nigeria and Saudi Arabia, was concluded and the airline was already airborne to Jeddah. Now, considering the short time available for pre-Hajj preparations and the rising cost of the pilgrimage, independent Hajj reporters have advised the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria and state programs welfare boards and agencies to commence the signing of long-term contracts with Saudi Arabia-based Hajj service providers to bring down the cost of Hajj, occasioned by the high foreign exchange rate of the dollar to the naira. The civil society also called on the Hajj Commission to consider reducing the number of Saudi-based service providers to create room for effective coordination and impactful supervision by both the Commission and the states. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. After surviving jungle justice, victim recounts traumatic experience. More on this and many other stories up ahead after the break. Join us again.
Since the movement of the federal capital to Abuja, the massive growth of the population and investments are gradually turning the city into a major spot for investment in Africa.
The Abuja Investment Summit and Expo is a public-private partnership powered by FCT administration and Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
TDF Consultants as a platform to wow global investors into the city of Abuja. It also serves as a platform to present credible and bankable investment opportunities that are market ready for global investor engagement. It is a highly focused annual investment meeting to secure investors for identifiable business opportunities. The summit provides a forum for members of the public and private sectors to discuss factors that will help the Federal Capital Territory achieve a strong socio-economic development. For further inquiries,
if you desire to fulfill your Hajj obligation but cannot afford to pay at a go, you need not to worry anymore. Jaiz Bank PLC, in collaboration with National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACAN, and the State Pilgrims Welfare Boards have jointly introduced Hajj Savings Scheme to help you fulfill your wish. Whether you're a caterer, a farmer, a petty trader, or a parent who wishes to start saving for their children and be getting profit at the same time, this scheme is for you. Visit any of the Jaiz Bank branches or Hajj Commission offices nearest to you to enroll, or go to www.hajsavings.jaizbankplc.com to register. For further information, contact info@jaizbankplc.com or call the number 070-077-30000.
It was never a consensus. We did all our best. You see, in politics, you give your contribution to the best of your ability.
If you want, I'll forward to you this statement. You go to this bank and verify.
But there are people who say not spending money is not about you.
I'm coming. Let me finish.
Because there's so much to be done.
Let me finish. Now, you don't allow me to explain myself.
The recent development shows abductions are now a factor of informants embedded in community.
It's not about the people of Katsina to say that, no, during my administration I was able to stop insecurity. No, it's about collective responsibility for all of us.
And what we should ask ourselves is not what has been seen, is the life better? Are there more people who are unemployed who are not become employed? Is the level of corruption has gone down? Is there inclusion? All those issues.
We're actually a gas country with associated oil. Our focus has always been on oil, that we have never paid significant attention to gas.
To do it effectively, we need to have honest conversation with ourselves. Government needs to come down from its higher horse and communicate with the people and build trust.
There must be a solution.
We cannot continue this way. They must come back to the table and agree. So whose child will do deny education? All these students that sit for jam, they want to go to higher institutions.
But just a short while ago, you were saying that why bring 10 children when you cannot cater for them? So why bring more universities when you cannot cater for the existing?
Welcome back to the news. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories. Nationwide strike in effect with partial compliance. Fire razes apartment building in Zaria. Now, a task force designed to facilitate issuance of certificate of occupancy for mass housing has been inaugurated by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The task force has been mandated to recover land use contravention fees in the nation's capital as the minister reiterates the commitment of the administration to restore and improve the Abuja Master Plan. Habibat Ajayi has more.
The revival and restoration of Abuja Master Plan under FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has another step in course, correcting gaps in the system. The newly formed task force will target restructuring and implementing the master plan, focusing on compliance.
Lands, the Director of Mass Housing, Development, AGs, Urban and Data, all of you are members of the task force, is to make sure that all the mass housing, each of the houses has its own CFO, and they have to pay for it. And then those who have contravened, those that were given approval for residential have converted it to commercial. Those who have been given for commercial have contravened by building residential. So there must be a recertification, so there must be penalties. And the only way people will be deterred from doing this is to make sure that we discourage them. And discouraging them means that if you want to do it, you have a penalty to pay.
Michael Chinda, the chairman of the task force committee, highlights the commitment of the new team to deliver on the objectives of the task force.
For those who distort master plan, it's not the proper thing to do, because a city that is not planned, you have a discriminate development. Therefore, we will not spare anyone that has contravened, and we will do the needful.
A 1 month time frame has been set for the committee to complete the assigned tasks. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the House of Representatives on Tuesday reiterated its commitment towards the improvement of infrastructure across rural areas in Nigeria. Chairman, House Committee on Rural Development, Marcus Onobun, gave the assurance in Abuja during the committee's inaugural meeting. While expressing the committee's readiness to interface with relevant ministries, departments and agencies of government, Onobun expressed his resolve to synergize with other standing committees where there are overlapping functions. On his part, the deputy chairman of the committee, Mahmoud Audu, solicited for cooperation of all stakeholders in a bid to ensure accelerated development for rural communities across the country. He also harped on the need to replicate development in the urban centers to rural areas. Members of the committee who spoke during the inaugural meeting pledged solidarity to the leadership of the House Standing Committee.
I will be relying on your wealth of experience, because looking around, I have so many of you who are my friends, and we have interacted even before coming to this noble house. And I believe in your wealth of experience, and we need more hands to be on deck to be able to discharge this responsibility for the greater good of National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, who has entrusted us with this responsibility and for the betterment of Nigeria.
Now, last week on Trust TV, we brought you a story from Makodi, Benue State, where a victim of jungle justice survived a false accusation of genital theft. The phenomenon has been spreading like wildfire across Nigeria as citizens become more suspicious of strangers they meet in public over the fear of losing their private parts. Trust TV's Jimmy Azandi spoke to the survivor of the recent attack in Benue.
The brutally traumatic experience almost cost Emmanuel Aime his life. A false accusation led to mob action with Emmanuel at the receiving end of violent attacks. It took the intervention of the security agencies to prevent a fatal outcome.
They asked me to look at one of them who was in their group, whether I have seen him before. After a close examination on the face, I recollected that I saw him about an hour ago, close to the entrance of Zenith Bank. And they said to me that in the course of talking with him, he lost his manhood. And then I reiterated quickly that how did it happen? How? Of which they could not give me a plausible explanation. But all what they could tell me was that I should restore his manhood.
The phenomenon of genital theft or disappearance continues to leave behind victims of false allegations as jungle justice takes center stage.
On that day, I knew that people who died, of course, they died innocently. Because if not because of God's intervention, my life would have been lost now. But I appreciate and I thank God so much. God saved my life. I hold this in mind, that it's good to educate the public. The general public is ignorant of what transpired in society. Because there is this trend that is going on where innocent people are being accused for nothing.
The phenomenon of genital theft or disappearance continues to leave behind victims of false allegations as jungle justice takes center stage. In an effort to correct the perversion of justice, the police, after confirming the accusations against Emmanuel to be false, have arraigned the accuser in court, who is currently in detention to deter others from making false allegations.
We should intensify efforts to educate them against this jungle justice. It's not right where somebody is accused and you join forces on the other party against the person that is being accused. It's not proper. It's not right at all. The best is to try to investigate and find out. Because in most cases, it's not the person that has been accused that actually commits the crime.
For Emmanuel Aime, he lives to tell his story, and that is all that matters for now. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makodi.
A lucky escape. Well, Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State has presented a budget of 217 billion naira to the State House of Assembly for consideration of the 2024 fiscal year. Governor Buni presented the 2024 budget tagged Budget of Consolidation and Economic Recovery, saying the budget will stimulate economic growth of Yobe State, while adding that the government will ensure the completion of Potiskum and Gaidam modern markets, the Potiskum Trailer Park, Damaturu Mega Shopping Mall, as well as the rehabilitation, upgrading and capitalization of all government-owned companies, completion of sesame seeds processing and packaging factories in Damaturu, Potiskum, Machina and Nguru towns.
Out of this amount, the total sum of 94,156 million naira only, representing 43.39%, is proposed as recurrent expenditure, while the total sum of 122,844 million naira only, representing 56.61%, is allocated for capital expenditure. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to reassure you that the government will remain steadfast in its commitment to progress and development of our dear state.
Now to Lagos State, where the hit-and-run driver who crushed 2 road cleaners to death on Monday at the Igbagada-Oshodi Expressway of Lagos State has surrendered himself to the Lagos State Police. Police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyi on Tuesday says the suspect turned himself into the police on Monday evening and he will be arraigned for manslaughter. The driver crushed 2 members of the Lagos State Waste Management Authority to death on Monday. The driver, who fled after the incident, was alleged to have been evading arrest by officers of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority when he rammed into the road cleaners. Although the State Ministry of Transportation confirmed the death of the 2 road cleaners, it denied that the driver was chased by LASMA officials when the unfortunate incident happened. The ministry says investigation has begun into the incident and those found culpable will be brought to book. In an effort to reduce activities of criminals and overcrowding at the entrance of Jalingo Main Market, the Taraba State Government, through the Jalingo Local Council, has relocated park operations to the newly constructed Memorial Park.
Different administrations in the past have tried to decongest the entrance of Jalingo Main Market to control the activities of criminals to no avail. Perishable goods sellers, commercial drivers, fresh fish sellers, among others, are the business activities conducted in the area. The chairman, Jalingo Main Market, and the secretary commended Governor Abu Kefas for his effort in decongesting the market. The Secretary, Butchers Association, and the Secretary, National Union of Road Transport Workers, said the move is an attempt by the state government to provide safety environment for businesses. They, however, said the newly constructed place is not enough to accommodate all the businesses relocated to the area.
Wannan rana wanda mai girma gwamna yake so ya tsaftace wangari.
First, we thank God for witnessing this day. Since from the initial stage, we were not disobeying the government order. What remained the issue is the place to relocate when they leave. Now the present administration of Dr. Abu Kefas provided a conducive environment for those that were asked to relocate. Therefore, it's quite a welcome development. Now both the trailers, town service, Keke Napep operators, pushers and those trading under the shade of an umbrella on the street have relocated to the newly constructed market called Gaji Ajia Memorial Park. This thing that is happening now is for the benefit of the citizens. If you can see, whoever come to pass through this way, even with cars, must face some obstacles in one way or the other. Some business operators in the congested area said relocating them to another area is not the solution. According to them, the only solution is to stop the heavy trucks from parking along the major street. I'm calling on our people to abide with the government order because government cannot entertain anything that will affect its citizens intentionally. And as we all know, this present administration shows the element of progress. Hence, they need to give them a maximum support. To be frank, it will take some time before people become more familiar to the new place. It is too small for all business operations that we asked to relocate to the area. I'm calling on government to do something about it. Some residents around the newly constructed market appreciate the government's efforts. They added that it will give youths in the area opportunities to learn business skills.
This is a very welcome development initiated by the state government to the compliance of market associations. As we can see, women, market men and women are really patronizing each other to ensure the free movement of the buying and selling.
In other news, the police command in Ogun State has banned the indiscriminate use of explosive fireworks, popularly called banger, during the Yuletide season. The command spokesperson, Omolola Odutola, says the ban follows complaints from residents in Shagamu, Ijebu-Ode, Ikene and Sangota over the use of fireworks. Odutola noted that the use of banger threatens the peace of mind and triggers anxiety among residents. She expressed concern that residents have been thrown to sleepless nights, constant terror from their inability to discern between gunshots and genuine fireworks. She says the command enjoins residents to respect the privacy and the quiet of other neighbors. You're still watching the News Hour. More news stories up ahead after this break.
What NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation.
80 million people have been accounted for that have glaucoma worldwide.
The Nutrition Society of Nigeria is laying emphasis on exclusive breastfeeding of our babies.
The incidence of kidney disease in children has also been rising, with an estimated 1 in 10 Nigerian children affected.
And that sometimes those products contain things that could harm you more than you would expect. So you would have long-term damage which could affect your health over time.
Intermittent fasting indeed is beneficial.
Human beings know what is right. If they don't want to do what is right, they will give you 1,001 reasons why they are doing the wrong things.
So they see themselves as conquerors, and other people have been conquered.
When the opposition and the press keep parroting that phrase, government has failed, but we will not be here, hold on, we will not be here, sitting down here, if government has failed.
There has been almost total collapse of the security outfit, and the terrorists are taking advantage of this.
On that, a country that has about 923 square kilometers of arable land, not more than 2.5% has been cultivated.
Of course, you, the Nigerian citizen, will also have your say via our phone-in numbers on your screen.
The issue of appointment in Nigeria has become more political than doing the right thing for the country.
Are you interested in the latest news and developments in Nigerian politics, policy, governance, and other critical national issues? Look no further than Daily Politics on Trust TV. Our panel of experts and key people in government provide in-depth analysis and commentary on the biggest stories in Nigerian politics.
And 33.3 million Nigerians are suffering from multidimensional poverty.
It's a much calmer Buhari than the Buhari who was in the khaki uniform.
Naira to Naira exchange rate is higher anywhere in the world. The Naira is higher than dollar exchange rate. So you want to...
Since central bank governor you're doing, you must do it fast. Number of casualties we have had, we shouldn't have had. Security, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have wronged.
From the inner workings of government to the latest on legislation, rule of law, implementation, and democracy, we have you covered. Don't miss out on the latest political news and discussion. Tune in to Daily Politics, weekdays on Trust TV, your source for reliable and unbiased coverage of Nigerian politics.
Welcome back to the news. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has extended the validity of the old 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira notes indefinitely. The Apex Bank's Director, Corporate Communications, Isa Abdulmumini, in a statement on Tuesday says the decision is in line with the international best practices and to forestall a repeat of an earlier experience implementing the policy. The CBN had introduced the redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 naira denominations back in October 2022, and certain deadlines were set for the old design notes to cease as legal tender. Well, the statement reads in part, without prejudice, the Central Bank of Nigeria wants the public to know of its desire to extend the legal tender status, a deadline of the 200, 500 and 1,000 naira denominations indefinitely. To developments on the international scene, Mali's army has seized Kidal, a key town in the country's north that the ethnic Tuareg rebels have held for over 10 years. Kidal has been a bastion for the Tuareg rebels, one of the rebel groups at the center of the country's long-running political and security crisis. The army, reportedly backed by a Wagner group, has battled for Kidal for the past 3 days. The head of the country's military junta says the mission is not complete. Colonel Assimi Goita, Mali's interim president, says in a post on X, his objective was to ensure the country's territorial integrity. The army has urged civilians in Kidal to remain calm. The alliance, known as the Permanent Strategic Framework, which is mostly formed of Tuareg armed groups, says it had left Kidal for, quote, strategic reasons. Dozens have been killed and wounded as Israel targets Khan Yunis with a flurry of strikes despite ordering civilians in northern Gaza to flee to the southern safe zone. Human Rights Watch says Israel's attacks on Gaza hospitals should be investigated as war crimes. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says operations will grind to a halt if no fuel is allowed into Gaza by Wednesday. More than 11,200 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7. In Israel, the official death toll from Hamas's attack stands at more than 1,200. Over 100 literary translators have signed a statement calling for a ceasefire in Gaza and standing in solidarity with Palestinians. Let's get some sports update now and join Adeni Ajishafe for the very latest.
Nigeria Judo Federation (NJS) said 3 judokas will depart Abuja to represent Nigeria at the 2023 African Judo Championships in Yaoundé, Cameroon. The championship, which holds from 18 to 19 November, is compulsory for countries seeking to participate in the Olympic qualifying tournament. The judokas are Michael Agbo, 66 kg category, Kehinde Aremu, 66 kg, and Tai Aremu, 73 kg, while Sule Musa is the chief coach. President Nigeria Judo Federation Musa Oshodi charged athletes to be good ambassadors of Nigeria. And in football, ahead of 2026 World Cup qualifier, Super Eagles defender Kenneth Omeruo said Eagles are looking towards victory in the game against Lesotho for the World Cup qualifiers. Omeruo expresses the eagerness for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, deeming it crucial for redemption after missing the last tournament in Qatar, as Super Eagles are aiming to get ticket for the next World Cup. Omeruo, member of 2014 and 2018 Nigerian World Cup team, believe the best they can do is to stick to a game plan and take the game very seriously because Eagles need to win the ties against Lesotho and Zimbabwe. Nigeria will host Lesotho at Gosha Pabio Stadium in Uyo on Thursday, while they face Zimbabwe in Rwanda next week. Meanwhile, Bender Insurance goalkeeper Amas Obasoge has been handed a late invitation for Nigeria's World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho and Zimbabwe. Obasoge will replace Udinese goalkeeper Maduka Okoye, one of the invited 23 players who pulled out of the matches. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Well, that is the size of our bulletin tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. For myself and the rest of the team, we appreciate you very much for watching the News Hour. Feel free to follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more content across Trust TV. And of course, visit our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching and good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.